this morning. It is 9:45 right now, and you are listening to the music of our next guest. Music, as many of us know, is a major part of any movie or TV show, and the composer who worked on movies like Star Wars: The Force Awakens, Night at the Museum, Chocolat, is from right here in Washington. And joining us this morning, composer and musician Paul Henning, who just released his debut album, Breaking Through. Good morning.
Good morning. It's great to be here.
It's great to be interviewing you. I'm fascinated to find out how you got into this work. And you're from where?
I'm from Pullman in Eastern Washington, and my family has been there a very long time, since the 1880s.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so my family has a farm in Eastern Washington State. It's been there since 1888, and it's still going. So
how did you get into this line of work?
Well, I studied music at both WSU, and then I also moved down to Los Angeles and studied music at the University of Southern California in their film scoring program. So that's how I got started, was there.
Wow. And you've worked on so many big projects. We just mentioned a few, but I mean, you've worked on even more than that. What is it like to be a part of such a giant production like that?
You see one tiny component of it at a time, and you might work on it over a period of months. So, I worked on The Force Awakens over a period of a year.
Wow.
So we work on one little bit at a time, and it gets changed and revised and redone over and over. And by the time it comes out, a month before the movie's released, you're scrambling to try to finish everything on time and hope it makes it there.
How much creative control do you have over something like that? I would imagine you're getting some input from a lot of different...
I don't have a lot in terms of what I did on that movie. It was more orchestration, which is taking John Williams' pencil sketches, who was the composer for that movie, and then putting those in the computer for him and fleshing out the final details that would be recorded by the orchestra at Sony Studios in Los Angeles. You
were telling me that you play piano, violin. What is it like for you performing versus composing? Do you have one that you prefer? I like doing both because, orchestrating and composing is a lot of time that's very solitary. You sit by yourself, you work for hours and days on end at a computer screen, and it's nice sometimes performing to get out and be able to see fellow musicians and make music, and especially playing on recording sessions for some of these big soundtracks. It's very exciting. It's one of the only orchestras in the world that plays new music every single day that's literally just come off of the printer that morning. Oh,
and so you're playing music that's never been heard, never been recorded, and it'll go into a big gigantic motion picture that will be heard all over the earth.
And it makes such a huge difference.
It does.
I think that sometimes we take for granted how much a musical piece can add to a production.
It's an enormous component, and when you see these movies while you're working on them without music in them, they don't have nearly the same dramatic effect as when it gets put in. It makes such a difference.
We heard a little piece as we brought you in, from your new album. It's called Breaking Through. What inspired this album, and what can we expect from it?
Well, what inspired it was, when you work in film, you're very much stuck to specific timings. You have everything timed down to the millisecond. You have to be in this style for 3.76 seconds. And I wanted to write music that was my own style, without limitations, without these timing limitations, that was inspiring and uplifting and joyous and in my own style. So that's what originally inspired the idea. Plus my road trips between Los Angeles and the Northwest, which I take twice a year. And I have done that so many times. I've been every direction possible. Up the coast, to the desert, and those trips and the scenery I saw also inspired this album, and I hope that it goes out in the world and it uplifts people and brings them happiness.
And what are you hoping to do next? Any movies or productions you're working on you can tell us about, or new albums?
There are a lot of things I'm working on right now, some of which I cannot say what they are. I worked on The Force Awakens. I played violin recently on Rogue One, which is out, and also on Moana, which was a big hit at Thanksgiving for Disney. So there are more projects coming up of that scale and size that I'm currently involved in, and will continue to work on. I can't say in what capacity or how, but yes.
No, but that just adds to the allure of it. I like it.
It does, yeah.
Paul Henning, thank you so much for being with us.
You're welcome. It was a pleasure.
And best of luck with your album, and we'd love to have you back and kind of update people on where you are with some of these top secret projects. Again, Breaking Through is the name of the album. You can buy it on iTunes or Amazon.